Hi everyone, Brother Paul here. Welcome. Today I'm going to take the passage from Philippians chapter 1, verse 3 to 11. It's a letter from the Apostle Paul to the Philippian church, and it's so good because we're going to find out why this is such a great passage for all of us who are in the ministry, one form or another. The Apostle Paul wrote, I thank my God upon every remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine, making requests for you all with joy, for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident of this very thing, that he who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. Just as it is right for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my change and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel, you are all partakers with me of grace. For God is my witness, how greatly I long for you all with the affection of Jesus Christ. That is one long two sentences actually. Stop at verse 7 from the New King James Version. But think about this. Whether you and I like it or not, beloved, if you are in ministry, we can never stand alone. There is no such thing as God called me alone to start the ministry. You may think that way, but honestly, we all need partners. We all need support. We all need teamwork. And the Apostle Paul founded this church in Philippi. And this church, when they receive the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, when they understand salvation, what do? Even though they were poor, they started supporting the Apostle Paul financially again and again and again. And in life, whether we like it or not, we all need partners. We all need support. We all need teamwork. And even though we may be doing the major role, or we may think we are doing the major role, guess what? We still need people to help us. And I really believe that even though when the rest of our partners, the rest of people who are in the team, who support us, they may not contribute at the same level as you and I. They may not be able to understand certain things like you or me. It doesn't matter, because as long as they are serving God and as long as they are putting time, effort, resources, and they're giving their very best to God, guess what? God will reward them. God will see them through. And Paul says this. He says that he's very confident of this one thing, that he who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of the Lord Jesus Christ. You may think that it is you who's going to complete God's work. It's actually the Holy Spirit that's going to do it through you. Why? Because the Apostle Paul said later, whether he's in chains or whether it's for suffering or for the manifestation, we are all partakers of this grace. And the grace is that God will follow through and he will follow up in your life and mine. Why? Because we are all under his grace. Paul says this, he prayed for the Philippian church every day. I do not know about you, but I'm guilty of this. I am guilty of not being able to pray for every person that I know personally. Sometimes, when I'm doing something and God just touched my heart and I remember so and so, I remember a pastor, I remember a face. I may even forget the name. But as I remember the face, I said, Lord, help me to pray for that person. Show me what's going on. Sometimes God does. Most time He doesn't. But as I pray, I say, Lord, I just pray for this person. I just pray for this brother, this sister. And I ask, Lord, to forgive me for forgetting them. I do not know about you. But when I look into my own life, I know I cannot say with confidence what the Apostle Paul said, that he prayed every time for the Philippian church. But this is what the Apostle Paul did say. And this part I want to learn too. And in verse 9, and this I pray, that your love may abound still more and more in knowledge and all discernment, that you may approve the things that are excellent, that you may be sincere and without offense to the day of Christ. For those of us in ministry, we know that every now and then we come across challenges, people that we have put in time and effort, people that we have helped in the past, or even people that has helped us. We have hurt them and others have hurt us. And guess what? It is important that the reason we need this verse here in our life is this, that our love abound still more and more in knowledge and all discernment. I really believe that when we allow the love of Jesus Christ, the Bible says God is love, and we allow His love, His agape to flow in and through us, that we are able to do our ministry, to do our partnering without offense, but with love and sincerity, with all knowledge and all discernment. You know, beloved, as we journey together in preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ to the world, in touching people's life, in saving souls for the kingdom of God, guess what? That we may approve the things that are excellent, that we may be sincere and without offense to the day of Christ, being filled with the fruits of righteousness, which are by Christ Jesus, for the glory and praise of Jesus Christ. Beloved, your life, my life, it's not for us. It's not me, myself, and I. I cannot run a ministry on my own. I need help. And the longer I'm in the ministry, the more I realize I need more and more help. I need people to tell me. I need people to guide me. I need people to say, Brother Paul, this is not how we do it here. Or Brother Paul, maybe we should really start something. Or Brother Paul, let's study this together and see what God has for us. You know, beloved, whether you and I like it or not, the reason why God allow us not to be all-knowing, and how many of us are all-knowing, not to be all-powerful or all-resourceful. Do you know why? I really believe it's because God wants to keep us humble. Because if you and I, in our sinful flesh, in our sinful nature, has all the resources on our own, has all the knowledge on our own, guess what? I think we will become very prideful. We will become very arrogant. And in the end, we will think only about me, myself, and I, my comfort, only me. It's all about me, not about others, not about God. But your existence and my existence, your ministry and my ministry, in partnership, do you know what is it for? It's not for you and I. It's not for our glory. It's not for our legacy. It is actually for God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. But guess what? The more we allow our life, our ministry, our partnership to be full of His knowledge of righteousness, to be full of His grace, God in His wisdom, God in His sovereignty, God in His grace, sit us together. Not that we deserve it, but He sit us together at His right hand in Christ Jesus. God allow us to be the temple of the Holy Spirit. It is God. and not us. So, beloved, today I just want to pray a very simple prayer for you. Father, in Jesus' name, I pray that every person watching this video will be blessed more and more of your agape grace, more and more of your wisdom, more and more of perfect knowledge and great discernment to prove the things that is good, perfect in your sight, Father God. And Lord, that they'll be able to receive every spiritual blessing that you have given them, that you have positioned for them. Father God, I pray, like the Apostle Paul prayed, that each and every one of us will be filled with your love, that we will love one another. And just like this, it says this, that God will complete the very good work He has begun in you and me until the day of Jesus Christ. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. The Lord make His face, His grace be upon you, that everywhere you go, you bring His shalom peace. In Jesus' name, God bless you. Bye-bye.